Hello, hello.
Hello, hello,
Hello,
everybody.
hello.
Alrighty. As more people join here, put the itinerary of the meeting in the chat at the bottom. We're going to go over some quick free resources if you missed those in the last couple of meetings. And then Tim's going to go over a quick out of a bot, which will be cool. And then we'll have an open Q&A session at the end. Righty. Hey, Tim.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, hey. Alrighty. So if you're just joining us, we're going to go over a couple of free resources that a lot of people have been finding very helpful over the last couple of days. I put links to all of them in the chat down below. There's a, just real quickly, there's a resource to help you write better prompts. And this is something that Tim is going to go over here in a short second. This is one of the things that you can add into, hold on, let me share my screen. So this is one of the things that you can add into ChatGPT, and then it will help you walk through the process of writing out a specific prompt based on the niche or use case that you might have. So this is super useful. You can basically just take this document, copy it, and put it directly into ChatGPT, and then it will ask you questions about different things that you might want to put into that prompt. Second one is this Canva animation template. And this is really cool because you can basically edit this to be whatever use case and niche that you might want. So for example, in here, I could type in whatever words I want. And this, when you finish it and you export it, can be exported as a GIF or as a video. And then you can embed this on your website, which gives users an idea of kind of how this stuff will look or work. So that's super cool. And then we've got the sales deck. So this is probably one of the most requested items across the board. This is a presentation that you guys can white label and use yourself. It's got some of the key features about why businesses might want to purchase an AI chatbot and goes through some of the basic details of how to get things started. So that is also linked in the description in the chat as well. Alrighty, so now we're gonna continue to move right along, and Tim is gonna go ahead and share his screen, and we're gonna see a quick 5 minute build, 5 to 10 minute build out of an AI agent. And I believe for this example, we're going to use our documentation or Stammer's documentation. So that way we can show kind of multiple styles of use cases kind of in one go here. So Tim, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, exactly. And Ross, I just want to make sure you can hear me okay since I connected this other microphone.
Yep, gotcha.
Perfect. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen here.
And for everyone else listening, if you have questions along the way, please feel free to put it in the chat, and we'll get to the question at the end of the meeting during the QA session.
Yeah. And the first thing I'm going to do is click on Create New Chatbot. And we're going to use the default prompt for this right now and then adjust if necessary. And the name, we're just going to call this Stammer.ai because this is actually the exact process I'm going to use later today in order to create a bot that will go into our dashboard. And we're going to train it on the Stammer documentation. I shouldn't need to change any other settings for this. I'm going to use GPT 4.0 for this because I've found lately that it works the best. None of this needs to change. Streaming is on and we should be good. I'll go ahead and turn on debug mode just for this example.
And so for people that are new, go back to that section
Yep.
real quick. So the advanced settings, typically you don't need to go into advanced settings. Right out the gate, most bots will just work natively as soon as you click create bot, right?
Exactly. You really shouldn't have to adjust anything. That being said, we've all been testing GPT 4.0 lately for the past few weeks, and everyone that we've talked to and has said that it performs amazingly. So that's why I was
Yeah.
selecting it for this.
And so for other things in here that you might be seeing, like for example, temperature or support email or visibility, these are all things that might not necessarily be needed for your use case. So a lot of these are set to the defaults that will be applicable to the most amount of people across our platform. So you don't necessarily have to change any of these advanced settings. You can just go through the entire process as you see.
Exactly. And I always keep the temperature at 0 because I want the bot to be more deterministic. So doing repeatable things essentially, rather than being more creative. But I do understand that some people do have kind of a different use case for that. So I'm going to click update. Now is when we train the bot, right? We have to give it some data for it to know what to do. And we could throw in some text data here. We could upload some files. What we are going to do though, and this is literally what we're going to be doing for this Stammer support bot, we're going to train it on a website. And we want this bot to actually answer your questions about the platform. So over the past few months, what we've actually been doing is updating this single source of documentation for Stammer, right? And every time someone has a new question that we've never come across before, our assistant Eve, our support person Eve, she comes in here and actually updates this documentation. So we have a massive frequently asked questions section. And what I'm going to do now is just copy this URL. I will paste it into this field here, website URL. Here's the maximum number of URLs to scrape. I am going to go ahead and I believe we may have more than 100 now, but I'll just bump it up to 200. I don't believe we have that many. I am going to select auto scrape and auto train website every 24 hours. That does exactly what it sounds like. Basically, every 24 hours, it's going to run, reread the website. If any of the pages have changed, then it's going to update, or if it's a new page, then it's going to update those pages, add them to the database, and kind of retrain them so that that knowledge becomes available to the bot.
And this is
So I've
actually a
got,
question from the community that we have from earlier this week in Discord. What are the types of websites that you can scrape? A user was trying to scrape a Google Doc. Is that possible?
yes, it is. Now you have to publish that Google Doc. And let me actually show, we can just, so simple. Let's go into it. I'm going to go to Google Sheets first, switch to my Stammer account. And then let's create a new, actually, let's go to Google Docs because I believe you can only do this with a Google Docs. Okay, blank document. We'll just put anything here. And then what you can actually do is go to File. You're going to go to Share, Publish to the web, and then you're going to click Publish, and you will get a link.
And so if you were to open that link in, let's say, like an incognito tab or a new tab, it would just show you that text, right? Perfect. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and I believe, yeah, published to the web. So this is now an HTML document whenever you view this link, and that's the key because we did have a customer who was actually putting the link to the Google Doc in it, and of course it couldn't read that.
Yeah. So as long as the document is published and has that quote unquote share access where the web users on the web can see it, then the scraper will be able to see that public information and be able to pull that information into the knowledge base.
Exactly, because as you can see, this is just normal HTML now. So
Perfect.
that is how you do that. Any other questions, Ross? Because I can't see the.
Yeah, that was the main question for this
Cool.
part.
Okay, cool. Now I'm going to click on crawl website and fetch data, and then we can see the progress updating here.
And so this will basically scrape through every URL that's associated with that domain up there. And so because you have the option unselected, scrape only the URL entered, it's going to scrape all the URLs subdomain or otherwise, right?
Exactly, recursively.
Got it.
Now the key, and this doesn't usually happen, but the key to remember, because we did have one customer that had this problem, that it has to be linked, right? So if you have a page out there that for whatever reason is just not linked, it's an orphaned page and not on a sitemap or on your main page, it may not find that.
So Tim has a good question. Do you know why some websites cannot be scraped or only a few pages get scraped?
Yes, absolutely. So two primary reasons. One, they are blocking what's called data center IP addresses, right? The main primary Stammer server machine, basically, that Stammer's web scraper at least runs on, is up in the cloud inside a data center. And because of that, it has a certain IP address that can be recognized as a data center IP address. And many anti-scraping technologies, what they will simply do, the simplest way to avoid scrapers is to block data center IPs. So that is the number one reason that we come across. That being said, if anyone's ever interested, we do have a way we can kind of bypass that, but it would require us to charge you guys for that. But just keep us informed. Maybe someone does have that kind of use case and we can build that functionality. So the second reason, though, that it can have trouble scraping websites is because of sites that use a lot of JavaScript on the front end. So some pages, when you go to them, what actually you get is a small HTML file, that then has a bunch of JavaScript in it that starts rendering things and pulling down the actual data from the actual database, kind of live, right? Using JavaScript technologies like React and stuff like that. So when it's a site like that, that can sometimes cause issues as well. And that's the number two reason we find. And also there is a way we could get around that as well using a similar technology, but you guys have to let us know if that's ever of interest.
Another question from Lauren. What are the costs associated with data ingestion on crawling/scraping websites? Does it cost
Mm.
to retrain using the 24-hour updater?
So no, well, it depends. So we absorb those costs high level, right? The actual cost of the scraper going out, pulling down the data and scraping the data, we absorb those costs as a part of your subscription. Now, with some of the functionalities that we've talked about before that we're going to be rolling out, like character count, so limiting to a certain number of characters, if you went over the character limit in the future, once that functionality is rolled out, then yes, there would be additional charges for you possibly. That being said, the character limits that we're rolling out are extremely generous.
Not a single
So
user is touched
yeah,
a threshold of any limits. And it's going to be very affordable for any additional storage that you would need to purchase, like under $10. But to
exactly.
clearly answer your question, it does not cost extra to retrain it every 24 hours. This is a native feature. So Tim, you can continue the tutorial here. If we click and select all of the URLs here,
Just going to click train chatbot.
Brent asks, what is the theoretical character limit? I have a customer wanting to upload a few hundred documents. We are going to be announcing these soon. The highest limit will be 50 million characters on the full SaaS mode. And again, I don't think any single user has touched that limit yet.
Right.
Cool. So
Yeah, and it's taking.
as this is training on all of the pages, there we go.
There we go. Okay. And now it's been trained, right? So it's aware of that data. Now we can go back to the chat bot and ask it a question. Ross, what do you think we should ask it?
So
How does white labeling work?
sure. Yeah. And so what happens if on my first time I ask it a question and it gives me a wrong answer?
Such a good question. So we may actually have that happen here because these chatbots, I mean, it's all about the data you get into it, right? And let's see what the answer right here is. White labeling with Stam allows you, this is a perfect example, it allows you to rebrand and resell the Stammer platform and services as your own.
Mm-hmm.
You can add the custom logo, domain, and branding through the app to match your company branding. This enables you to resell its chat. Okay. So this is accurate, but one interesting thing here is it's saying with Stam. So if you notice with our default
And
prompt here,
this is the default prompt that we have set for agencies. One of the benefits of being an agency on Stammer is you can set your own default prompt. So this prompt that you see here, you can change it and update it to be whatever you and your clients will want. And so for example, if your agency is called AI agency, you could have it, that could be in there rather than the word Stam, for example.
right? Yeah, and it's interesting this happened actually because when I originally created this default prompt, that behavior never happened. But remember, I was using a different version of the model, right? I selected GPT-4o. And sometimes you're going to notice that when you select different models, some things may happen that you hadn't encountered with other models. So what you do is you just go back to your base system prompt and you put something very logical like, your name is Stam, the
Mm-hmm.
name of the product is Stammer.ai. Because notice in here, I put no information, right? This is just a default, very basic prompt. So
Mm-hmm.
let's update the chatbot. Let's go back to the dashboard. I'm actually going to copy this. I'm going to clear the session and let's see what happens this time. And there you go. So now it's using the Stammer.ai brand name properly. And what you may be thinking is, okay, what if it gave a completely wrong answer and hallucinated? Well, some other approaches you can do is use our debug mode and I don't want to get into this in this, but you can see this video here to learn more about the debug mode. But this shows you exactly what's getting sent to ChatGPT, and it can help you to see things like, oh, I see it's answering this because it literally found this in the documentation. What do I need to do? Well, I need to go back and update the documentation or maybe change the format a bit and add like a Q&A or a frequently asked questions section that'll exactly cause the match to work. Or you may have to adjust your prompt and say, like I did, no, the name of the platform is Stammer.ai, stuff like that.
Exactly. And that looping back to the free resource that I put into the chat, this is what that ChatGPT prompt to help you write a prompt will help do. So some of these things, like for example, like, oh, is my the messages are too long. How do I make them shorter? You can update the prompt to include information about how it should format its output. And these are the things that we can start to encompass as this idea of prompt engineering for AI agents. And over time, this is what is going to essentially set everyone apart from each other, is how well can you make these prompts for your clients for their individual niche and use case, basically. Cool. So open it up, do resources in the chat. Here, I'll post another link to it. Should just be Stammer, yeah, slash GPT prompt. There you go. Cool. All right. So we got some other, if you have any other questions, please put it in the chat or raise your hand and I can call on you. We got a couple other questions from the community from this week. When will ChatGPT 4.0 and voice functionality be available? This is something that we are essentially just waiting on OpenAI to release and give us documentation on how we can introduce voice inside the AI chat widget and then eventually introduce it in other channels, potentially like phone calls and things like that. So once that's available, that will be available for everyone else. Brent asks, are there any plans to integrate external storage of the knowledge base? That's something that we talked about this morning, actually. It's on our it's not currently on our roadmap, but it's in our vision. So it's something that we're looking at. It's going to be a pretty comprehensive fundamental change of some of our architecture on how we do that, but we do have plans to continue to allow for these types of integrations. The first one that will be coming will be similar in the sense that you'll be able to eventually add your own API keys. Another question from community: can the same chatbot be added to multiple websites? Can the same chatbot be shared between accounts? And the answer is yes. So the first question, can the same chatbot be added to multiple websites? Yes, you can go into the embed section on any chatbot. Or Tim, can you share your screen real quick and show where that is?
There we go. So we're just going to go to, we're already in the dashboard. So we can just go to get embeddable code. And here it is.
And then so you could basically take this iframe or this script and embed that on as many websites as you'd like. Now, yeah, I mean, that's basically as simple as that.
Yeah. And we have tutorials here. If any of them are not covered that you need, let us know and we can try our best to add that tutorial.
Jay asks, can I integrate multiple agents in one page and sell that as a service? Yes. You could have an iframe embedded inside the page, and then you could also have one in the corner as a widget. You could have multiple inside iframes on a single page if you'd like. Where all the AI agents are deployed on my website and they will be subscribed to trained agents. How can I do this? Similar and having a history of chat as well per user. So having a history of chats per user, that's coming soon. We have a big update coming for that soon. Right now, you can view all conversation history within the dashboard, and any user that has access can view that individual conversation history, but it's not end user specific. So you have to be able to log into the platform right now. Brent says along the same lines, any plans to have a knowledge base that can be shared against multiple agents in the same account? Yes. That's another thing. This is something that, again, we've been working on for a little while now in order to be able to have data be shared against multiple agents. This is something that we've been starting to use more internally ourselves as well, where we need our documentation to be shared against multiple AI agents, one for support, one for sales, stuff like that. Lauren says, so would that reporting feature essentially export a spreadsheet of queries and answers to give to clients? Yes. And I can actually show you a little mock-up of what that will look like. There's going to be a couple versions of this, but I'll show you the first version. And so this will be the analytics that allow each individual agent to send their data, basically. So on the individual page or dashboard, there's going to be a daily or a weekly or a monthly summary option where we can have the total conversations, total messages, any lead data, any meetings scheduled based off of what this bot has been created upon. And we'll be able to have that be able to send via an email or natively to any other platform via webhook. And this will start with, it'll start with this information and soon expand to having custom messages. So for example, if you put in a custom message that says, anytime the AI bot says, I'm not sure, or I don't know, that could be included as a special tab in this summary. So that way every day you can more easily update the knowledge base with information that the bot may not know. When integrating in an iframe, I assume that we can completely redesign the interface. Yes. So if you go into the appearance section on any bot, you can change pretty much everything on there from an appearance point of view, and we're consistently adding more customization features of that as well. The next one up will be customizing the background color of the text input section. So we'll have that done shortly as well. Can't wait for that. And Lauren, yes, that is correct. Jay says, also, is it possible to integrate local payments gateway? So we do have as a part of the API, you can create new accounts via another action. So if you're using an alternative payments gateway, you can have that be connected and either have that payments platform send Stammer a webhook which says create new account, or you could use something like Zapier or another automation platform to simplify that middle piece. But that essentially allows you to use any payment gateway over here and then automate the account creation process and management of Stammer over here. Awesome. You're welcome. Any other major questions? Anything that anybody has that they want to bring up to the group? When uploading Excel files, what's the best format? So that's a little tricky right now. Right now, ChatGPT is able to do that through a function called Code Interpreter, which is actually in a beta for their API. So right now, it's not actually possible to train a knowledge based on an Excel file or a spreadsheet file. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. So a PDF or JSON would be better for that. JSON probably, Tim, I'd say JSON's probably even better than PDF. Probably.
Yeah, JSON or CSV, but I'm trying to remember if we allow the upload of a CSV, but you could honestly just turn it into a .text file, but it can read CSV is my point, because that's literally just text.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't allow it as the .csv, but if you could just convert it to text, that would work.
Right.
Ah, cool. Thanks, Tim, for sharing that demo. So yeah, for everyone looking for some examples, this is the example Tim just shared. Here's all of the examples that he's got built out. That's impressive. Alrighty. Any last call? Yeah.
Ross, what was the issue with ChatGPT? Did you manage to get to the bottom of that today?
Something happened. Do you see Claude was down as well? Yeah. We saw the issue. We got on it as quickly as possible and got out the fix as quickly as possible. So yeah, we're still trying to see it seems like ChatGPT is still down. So thankfully our system is avoiding that, but yeah, we're still waiting for their postmortem to see what actually happened. Yeah, for us, we're available. So, it's not like we're just going to disappear if anything goes wrong. We'll always just address it, fix it as quickly as possible and let everyone know. Yeah, both are still down. Yeah. Yep. So cool. All right. Any last questions? Perfect. Thanks, Lauren, for joining. Cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining, and we'll talk to you next week.